Their Excellencies, the Right Honourable Dame Patsy Reddy, Governor-General of New Zealand, and Sir David Gascoigne.
Aho rangi, aho matua, aho papu, aho mutunga kore, haramai, ngā rangatira, ngā manukura, ngāre heo te whānau e, haramai ra, haere mai ra, haere mai ra.
Ki he mauri ora. Korihi pō, korihi awa. Nau mai, piki mai, kake mai. I rungi te reo karanga, a te kāwana tiara. He hōnore he kororia he maunga rongo ki ngā ki te mato te whenua. He whakaaro pai ki ngā tangata katoa. Arohaina ngā teina, me ngā tuakana, e noho nei, I rungi te whakaaro kotahi, pai mai.
E ngā mana, e ngā reo, e ngā iwi o ngā hoewha. Tēnei aku mihi mahana ki a koutou. Nau mai, haere mai ki te whare kawana. Kia ora tātou katoa. I specifically acknowledge our kuia, Mrs. Ranui Narimu, our kaumātua, Mr. Joe Harawera. Tēnā kōrua. And I offer a very special welcome to today's honours recipients. It's a real pleasure to host this investiture ceremony and bring together 9 honours recipients along with their family and friends to recognise the contributions they've made to our country. As Governor-General, I have the authority and the privilege on behalf of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, the Queen of New Zealand, to hold an investiture for her and to confer the honours, royal honours, our nation's highest honours, on individuals who've made an exceptional contribution to our country. Hosting an investiture ceremony is one of the most important duties I perform as Governor-General because it allows me to recognise and thank them on behalf of all New Zealanders for helping to make Aotearoa New Zealand a better place to live. Some recipients have a national public profile. Others will be well known in their own communities. But what they have in common is the positive impact they've made on the economic, environmental, social, or cultural well-being of our nation. Catriona McLeod will now read citations for each recipient and invite them to come forward to receive their insignia. As each recipient comes forward, I invite you to join me in thanking and congratulating them for their service to our country.
Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of a Companion of the New Zealand Order of Merit, Mr. John McKinnon of Wellington for services to New Zealand-China relations. John McKinnon served his second term as Ambassador to China in Beijing from 2015 to 2018, having served his first term from 2001 to 2004. His language proficiency and personal standing in Beijing has helped open doors for New Zealand, facilitate dialogues, and consider policy positions. He was Executive Director of the Asia New Zealand Foundation from 2012 to 2015. During this period, he facilitated the growth of the Foundation's Young Leadership Network. He's been a champion of Chinese language learning in New Zealand and developed the educational resources aspect of the Foundation during his tenure. Mr. McKinnon has been patron of New Zealand Chinese Language Week and was a driving force behind its inception in 2014. Mr. John McKinnon, please come forward. Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of an Officer of the New Zealand Order of Merit, Dr. Brian Pauling of Wellington for services to broadcasting and education. Dr. Brian Pauling founded the New Zealand Broadcasting School, which has become New Zealand's preeminent broadcasting education program, and was head of the school from 1983 until 2001. He's published textbooks and worked on a book chronicling the history of access radio in New Zealand. He helped establish the Canterbury Communications Trust and established Plains FM, the first independent community access radio station. He was the director of the Canterbury Workers' Educational Association. He chaired the Association of Community Access Broadcasters and the New Zealand Library and Information Commission. He was the commissioner of the New Zealand National Commission for the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, and a board member of the International Broadcast Education Association. Dr. Pauling is a Fellow of the Royal Society of Arts. Dr. Brian Pauling, please come forward. Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of a member of the New Zealand Order of Merit, Miss Rona Fraser of Greytown, for services to women and aviation. Rona Fraser helped to establish the New Zealand Association of Women in Aviation, NZAWA, in 1960, and was its first president. NZAWA has increased the participation of women in aviation through mentoring, information, and scholarships, and currently has more than 200 members. She has been patroness of NZAWA and is a member of the 99s, an international organization for women pilots. She was the first woman to fly solo from the Wellington Aero Club, having joined in 1952 and trained in tiger moths. Ms. Fraser established a riding school in 1974 and established the Wellington Area Competitive Trail Riding Club in 1987, which now has around 100 members. Ms. Rona Fraser, please come forward. Dr. Sally Keeling of Christchurch for services to gerontology. Dr. Sally Keeling has researched the social context of aging and health, and age-friendly environments for 30 years. She was a senior lecturer at the University of Otago's Christchurch campus. She's a life member of the New Zealand Association of Gerontology and has been president of the association and of its Canterbury branch. She was associate editor of Cambridge University's Press, Aging and Society Journal and director of the New Zealand Institute for Research on Aging. Dr. Keeling helped lead the Ministry of Health's adoption of the evidence-based guideline for assessment processes for older people and had a leading role in the Aging Well National Science Challenge. Dr. Sally Keeling, please come forward. Mr. Don Long of Lower Hutt for services to literature and education, particularly Pacific language education. Don Long is an educational resource publisher who's published hundreds of books and poems in Pacific languages. He's completed projects for the UNESCO Office for the Pacific States, the Ministry of Education, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade. He's currently working on publishing titles for the Tokelau Department of Education. He has been a consultant to the Ministry for Cultural Development in the Cook Islands and the Asia-Pacific Centre of Education for International Understanding. He has been a National Executive Committee member and the Wellington chairperson of the New Zealand Society of Authors. Mr. Long is an award-winning author of fiction, non-fiction, and poetry. Mr. Don Long, please come forward. Your Excellency, to receive the Queen's Service Medal, Ms. Veranoa Hattet of Lower Hutt for services to Māori art. Veranoa Hattet learnt the weaving techniques, raranga, taniko and whatukakahu from her mother, the late Eranora Pukitapu Hattet, and learnt tukutuku and kowhaiwhai from her father, Rangi Hattet. She's been teaching weaving for 30 years and has extended the opportunity for others to learn traditional Māori weaving techniques by establishing the Hattet School of Māori Art. The school offers online courses that make it possible for Māori and non-Māori alike to learn these skills around the world. Ms. Hattet has travelled extensively to teach and demonstrate, sharing her passion for these arts with thousands of people. Ms. Veranoa Hattet, please come forward. Mr. John Lamont of Wanaka for services to aviation. John Lamont was a pilot for the Royal New Zealand Air Force, RNZAF, before his 30-year career as a commercial pilot. He has flown in every Warbirds over Wanaka Air Show since the first show in 1988 and has given countless hours to organising this event. He is chief pilot of the Wanaka-based Fighter Collection. He's flown at air shows around the world and led the RNZAF's Red Checkers 50th anniversary flight. He's a voluntary instructor for the New Zealand Warbirds Association, a New Zealand Air Shows Association board member, and a Wanaka Search and Rescue Incident Manager. Mr. John Lamont, please come forward. Mrs. Kolo Vula Murphy of Wellington for services to Tongan and Pacific communities. Kolo Vula Murphy is founder, chairperson and treasurer of Makatuunga He Ofa Tongan Community Wellington Incorporated, which supports Tongan families with a focus on social well-being and children's education. She's secretary and treasurer of the Diocese of Kolo Christian Church in Wellington. She was a representative and chair of the Wellington City Council's Pacific Advisory Group. She is a member of the New Zealand Police's Wellington Pacifica Patrol Volunteer Group. She was treasurer for the Tongan Women Association, Langa Whanua Whawhine Tonga, and the Newtown Community Playground Centre. Mrs. Murphy has provided cultural expertise and curation for several exhibitions. Mrs. Kolo Vula Murphy, please come forward. Mrs. Barbara Thompson of Porirua for services to the community and women. Barbara Thompson is the service coordinator and almoner for the Zonta Club of Mana and has previously been president and vice president of the club. She's led a variety of community projects, including Zonta's relationship with the Arohata Women's Prison. She organizes a Christmas lunch for young mothers from He Huarahi Tamariki, a school for teenage parents in Porirua, and helps set up a scholarship at the school to fund a top student into tertiary study. Mrs. Thompson established a relationship with a well-fed community kitchen, where Zonta has supported the funding of kitchen equipment and training needs. Mrs. Barbara Thompson, please come forward. Your Excellency, the investiture is concluded.
I think you'll all agree with me that that was a particularly colourful and engaging ceremony today. I loved it, and I hope you did too. Our honours system is our nation's highest public affirmation of outstanding individual achievement. It reinforces values and behaviours that sustain our communities and help our nation thrive and prosper. And these include service, courage, manaakitanga, and the pursuit of knowledge and excellence. By using their talents to make ours a better society, whether by service to their communities or leadership in diverse fields of endeavour, or their commitment to excellence in their own area of expertise, our recipients have set a fine example to others. To the recipients, it's been a privilege to hear your stories today. You've demonstrated determination, compassion, and commitment in your daily lives. In your own way, each of you has helped make Aotearoa, New Zealand, a better place to live. In some cases, your influence and the positive impact of your work has extended beyond our shores. Your actions and the stories we've heard call to mind the words of Martin Luther King, who said, "Not everyone can be famous, but everyone can be great, because greatness is determined by service." On behalf of all New Zealanders, I thank you for the service you have given to our communities and our nation, whether by dedicating your lives to the public good, achieving distinction in your chosen field, or inspiring others with your leadership. Please wear your insignia with pride, knowing that your contributions are recognised and valued, and others are inspired by your example. That brings almost to a close the formal part of today's ceremony, but before we break for refreshments, I wonder if you might all stand and join me in singing our national anthem.